Hi, and welcome back, students who are taking financial accounting. In this series of videos, these are going to be the theory videos for the Chapter 4, Accounting for Merchandising Business. And in the last video on periodic and perpetual inventory, I had said that I might make 2 or 3 videos. Well, I decided that I'm going to make 1 video for each concept. As I looked through the chapter, there was a section on creating your financial statements, and that was covered in chapters 2 and 3. I went through the theory videos for that in those chapters on how I go about creating financial statements. So in this particular chapter, chapter 4, a lot of the information is repetitive. So I'm not going to be including from front to end. I mean, and that's not the purpose of these videos, to replace the textbook. The purpose behind the videos is to clarify different things. And I also had said I might only take 2 or 3 videos. Well, I decided that I'm going to dedicate 1 video per topic, so I'm going to end up with 4 videos for this chapter. So in this video itself, let me get there, I'm going to briefly cover discounts, returns, and allowances, both for sales and purchases. Now, this is theory, okay? So if you don't understand something, you can pause the video, rewind it, and watch it again. And if you still don't understand it, then feel free to contact an instructor. When we're doing the homework problems, that's the application side. And if you're doing the homework problems, you're not getting the answers and you don't understand why, well, then that's because you've missed theory, and you should be coming back here to understand the theory behind something before you can apply it to the situation or the homework problem. So just realize that here in the theory videos, you have that ability to watch the videos and pick something up, but the videos are used in conjunction with the textbook. Okay, so let me just move on here now. Discounts, returns, and allowances. All right, discounts and returns and allowances. This subject matter of discounts, okay, was covered extensively in the Math for Business and Finance textbook, or in that subject, or the math applications. So if you're a Penn Foster student and you had these 2 particular subjects, then this section of the financial accounting, this section of chapter 4, is basically a rehash of what was in chapter 7, which was titled Discounts, Trade, and Cash. Okay, so I don't really need to be going back over this information. All right, I don't need to repeat it. Everything as far as video wise, go to this link. Right, I mean, go to this web address, and that's where you'll see the videos for the chapter 7 for Math for Business and Finance, or math applications. Right? Now, this link obviously is, this is on the student community. All right, and if you click on academic groups, you'll see the groups down the left-hand side of the page. And underneath it, you'll see automotive and motorcycle, I believe, and then you'll see business. Okay, click on the link for business, and that will take you to the business groups. And on the left-hand side of the page, you'll see how to study guides. You'll see the math for business applications, and then you'll also see the financial accounting. I mean, and that's you're aware of that because you're watching this video. Okay, so if you go to the math for business / applications section, and you click in there, all right, you'll find these videos for chapter 7. Now, if you're a student who has not had Math for Business and Finance or math applications, you can still go there and watch these videos. And that's what I'm suggesting you do. You don't need the textbook in order to gain the information from that particular chapter. Okay, so realize that this video is a supplemental video. I mean, you're supposed to learn the information from the textbook. You're not supposed to learn it from the videos. The videos are only here to help cover what is in the textbook and to clarify different things and bring, my personal experience and thinking process and that type of stuff in, into the learning experience. So you're primarily supposed to learn from the textbook. So if you haven't had math, you should be learning from the financial accounting textbook. But if you're having trouble with that, feel free to contact an instructor. I'm telling you to go to this link, okay, and to go out to the student community, okay, and you can also watch those videos to help clarify and to bring some additional information into understanding discounts. Again, you're not going to need the textbook in order to be able to understand what's in the videos. So I'm not going to cover anything more about discounts, with the exception that I have written here cash and on account, terms, shipping, handling, and sales tax. In this chapter, I found it a little irritating that it was showing you how to make a transaction where you were using cash, and how to do a transaction that showed you was on account, and on account being accounts receivable and accounts payable. Right? If you watch the theory videos from chapters 1, 2, and 3, and you worked through the project and did all of the homework problems, you should be able to make a cash transaction. Make a journal entry for it and make one for on account. And if you don't know how to make a journal entry, there's videos there on how to make a journal entry when you don't know how. Okay, so chapter 4 to me was basically just totally repetitive, and there's not much new in it. The only thing that I can point out for this chapter was that with accounting, there's a lot of things that are two sides to the same coin, right? For example, I mean, if you understand how to do accounts receivable, then the opposite side of the coin, is accounts payable, right? It's just the opposite. I mean, if you sell something to somebody on account, okay, that's your accounts receivable. Okay, they're purchasing it, right, on account, so that's their accounts payable. Two sides to the same coin. Well, this goes the same for sales and purchases. Okay, sales is when you make a sale, and purchase is when you buy something. Okay, two sides to the same coin. When you have sales, and that's why I'm going to point towards terms, shipping, and handling, and sales tax. When you have sales, you can apply a discount, all right? So that would be sales discounts, and that's a contra account to the sales revenue account. So on your chart of accounts, you'll have sales revenue, and then you'll see sales discounts, and you'll see sales returns and allowance. Right? Well, the sales revenue account is the normal balance of that account is a credit. For sales discounts and returns and allowance, the normal balance is a debit because it's a contra account to the sales revenue account. Right? It's offsetting. So when you have when you look at it, you end up with a net sales. Okay. To just throw in some numbers, let's say I had $100 for revenue, and I had $20 for a discount, and then somebody returned some of those items for $40. Okay, that was their return. They didn't want it, didn't fit, or whatever, so they had a return. Well, when you made the original transaction, you debited your cash and you credited your sales revenue. If there was a discount, you would have, part of that transaction would have been a debit to the sales discount, which means you would have subtracted it, meaning you sold $80 worth. 100 less the $20 is $80 worth. And then if there was a return, all right, That's also a subtraction because now, it's coming back, and that we'll get to credit memos here in just a second. But the total amount of your sale now was $40. Okay, that's the net effect, your net sales. So, you have sales, you have discounts, and then you also have your returns and allowances, your sales returns and allowances. That's when you're making a sale. Well, the same thing, happens when you're buying something. You purchase something, that's an expense to you, right? That's an expense, and that's a debit. And when you have the purchase discount, that's a credit to you, all right? That's a credit for you because you're not spending as much. And if you end up returning, all right, for a purchase return and allowance, the normal balance of that is a credit, which gives you a net purchase because you're returning, so you're getting a credit back, right? Sales and purchases, two sides to the same coin, okay? Now, I'm erasing all of this real quick. And, we have terms, shipping and handling, and sales tax, okay? So if you sell something for $100, and let's say, terms could be either a discount of say 20%, so you would reduce it by 20%, and maybe you had a quantity discount. And again, all of these items that I'm referring to can be seen in the Chapter 7 in the videos for the math for business and finance. So if you had a quantity discount, meaning, you bought, 5 of these and they gave you an extra 10%, right? So that would be less 10%, right? So that's, some of your terms. So if you had $100, you would have 100 and 20% for a normal sales discount, so you'd have less $20, and then you had a quantity discount of 10%, which would be another $10. Now you're down to $70 that you're actually going to pay. Now, the sales tax is on that amount, okay? It is not on the shipping and handling, but the invoices generally show, okay, it's $70, and let's say there's $15 for shipping and handling, okay? So now you're up to $75, and then you have tax. Well, the tax would be on the $70, okay? And let's just keep things simple as the tax percentage being 10%. So 10% of $70 is additional $7. So you'd end up paying $82 in total for that item, for those items. Okay, now, we had a discount here, we had a discount, sales discount here, we had a quantity discount here. This is our shipping and handling, and this is our sales tax, okay? Now, shipping and handling, you don't pay tax on shipping and handling, okay? So that's why we took 10% of the 70. You don't pay tax on the shipping and handling in order to get to 82. But now when it comes to a credit memo, the whole, students struggle with a credit memo, and really all it is just working things backwards, okay? If let's say, here we had, let's say we returned, I don't know, 2 items, and each item costs say $10, right? And we're returning 2 of them, right? So we're returning $20. The retail of that was $20. If we had a 20% sales discount, well, 20% of $20 is $4. And if we had a quantity discount of 10, well, now we have to be careful because maybe we can't take that entire quantity discount because we returned them, right? So I'd end up having, I'd end up returning $10. I'd getting that $10 is no longer valid, okay? So now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about only having $6, okay? And I'm not returning, since shipping and handling, once it was shipped, we don't get it back. I'm just going to make that assumption. We no longer have shipping and handling. So then we only have to take the tax on this $6 at 10% is 60 cents. Okay. So the total credit that we're going to get back is, $6.60. Right? And all we would do is then we would just reverse, make a reversing entry for that. Um, this is a a simplistic um, example, and all we're doing here is when we go to make our credit memo, all we're doing is just making a reversing journal entry. So we have to look at our journal entries and see our journal entries and then reverse it. Now, as we get more and more complicated with this, okay, when you have multiple invoices and credit memos and terms uh, you know, sales terms, meaning you're given net, 2% 10, net 30, that type of thing. What you need to do is you need to go back and look at all of your journal entries. Maybe you've made 3 different journal entries that gave you a specific amount. And out of that specific amount, now you're going to return something. Well, you're going to have to go back and look at all 3 of those journal entries to see how you're going to reverse them, because a credit memo is only a reversal of the previous journal entries. Okay, and what I find that helps is if you use your T accounts, okay, in order to be able to see how that works out. Okay, I can sit here and I can, it seems like I'm not giving a specific example, all right, which I'm kind of like not. I'm making stuff up here, but I'm not delving into it very, very deeply with specific examples. And the reason for that is because each situation is different. I'm not going to sit here and work through a specific example and then you're going to look at this and try to copy it and mimic it, okay? No, you have to think about this, all right? You have to think through those journal entries. You have to think through the math, okay? And figure out how much for the sales discount, how much for the quantity discount, right? How much for the shipping and handling, how much for the tax, okay? You have to be able to go and think through that in order to come up with the right amounts, and each and every situation is different. So even if I gave you an example right now, it doesn't do you any good, because the next problem that I give you is going to be totally different. Sure, it's based upon the same ideas, it's based upon discounts, shipping and handling, terms, so on and so forth. Those are the concepts, but they're all applied to each situation differently. So in me giving you an example, it doesn't apply to the next one. And even if I work that one out, it isn't going to apply to the next one, and it isn't going to apply to the next one. So now now I come to the point where I'm thinking, well, why do I have homework problems? Okay, why should you be doing any of your assigned homework problems if each problem is different? Well, the reason why you have to do your homework problems is because each one is different. You have to get accustomed to being able to work with the different information and to be able to apply the right information at the right time. Okay, so yeah, you can watch the math videos, chapter 7, to understand things like discounts and terms and quantities and shipping and handling and things like this. Okay, and actually in the next video I'm going to go into free on board as a separate video and go a little bit more in depth into that. But I mean, even though that was covered in this chapter 7, but you have to be able to understand those concepts, right? And if you understand the concepts, then the application is a matter of doing, okay, and doing and doing and doing until you get enough experience doing them, so that when you come across a new situation, you understand and realize what you're supposed to be doing for that discount, for that shipping and handling, for that tax, for that credit memo. Okay, and that's why you have to do the problems, right? So notice that I'm talking in this particular spot about sales, but like I said, it's just the opposite for purchases. Sales is when you sell something. Purchase is when you're buying something to as a cost of goods sold. You're buying something for inventory for you to be able to resell. So everything that applies to sales, it's just the opposite for purchases. You purchase something, okay, you're having your money go out, and yeah, when you get a credit, you're going to get credit back, but you have to understand the differences between the normal balance of the accounts, the debits and credits for what accounts. And that all goes back to chapter 1 and chapter 2 in my explaining that accounting is very circular. When you do one thing, it affects something else. You have a category of account. Well, what's the normal balance in that account? The normal balance in that account is a debit or credit. If you can understand that circular relationship, then whether you have sales or whether you have a purchase, you're able to think through that situation until you become accustomed to that information and it becomes part of your normal thought process, and then you don't have as much of a difficult time anymore. I don't have a difficult time because I've been doing it for years. But when I first started, it was new information, and like I've said, I've tried to associate information. If you know how to do accounts receivable, you know how to do accounts payable. If you know how to make a sale and have a sale discount and a sales return on allowance, well, then you know how to do purchases and you don't have to memorize the other one. Okay? You can associate by knowing that it's two sides to the same coin. All right, so with that said, in the next video, I'm going to cover free on board, which is part of our, shipping. Okay, and it's a little subject that students don't really think deeply enough about, so that's why I'm going to create a separate video for that. So I'll see you for that video.